There you go.
There we go. Hello, I guess. Welcome to the first episode of the Bytes Podcast, where we really have no idea what we're doing because we just threw it all together. Quick introductions. We have the bald guy who's wearing a hat for some reason because he's trying to
Everyone
haul his
was wearing a
baldness.
hat. I had to wear one originally.
Now you're the only person wearing a hat.
That's okay. I got a beer hat on though, so it's worth it.
Anyways, we have
Drink
Chris.
Guinness, unless you're not 21.
Guinness is delicious. We have Chris. So why are you here, Chris? What's your technical knowledge?
Longtime gamer in the console arena. I was a PC gamer for a long time before I went to college and basically couldn't afford to do it anymore. And I'm still technically a video gaming journalist because I still write for 401 Mania's game section, doing game reviews and weekly news reports on console gaming.
There you go. And there you go. And also we have our new guy to the podcasting scene. We have our resident ginger now. We have Paint.
That's right.
So what what's your technical knowledge and why are you here?
My technical knowledge. Well, I love Adahe's favorite or worst company, whichever one you want us to call that, Apple. So.
Oh, I thought we were talking about
like
EA
it.
for a second.
Oh no, they suck too. But I love Apple. So yeah. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I like Apple. Got a lot of technical background, a lot of the stuff they do. So.
Yeah, talk with.
But
Go ahead.
as I'm ending on that note, I will be back in 5 minutes.
All right,
He's going to intro to leave you all hanging.
man.
I know.
This is what we
can
call
talk.
an
You can
extended
talk,
dating.
talk as much shit about me as all you want. So.
I don't
but-
know you enough to talk shit yet.
He's a ginger. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, I'll be back.
He's got the disease gingivitis.
His headphones are off now, so I can be like, that son of a bitch comes on a show and is only on for 3 minutes before he jumps off.
Right? What the fuck?
Damn
Technical
it, you're
difficulties. Anyways, and of course I am the one and only, the amazing, the majestic Adahay.
Modest.
What was that? Huh?
Freaking modest.
And modest, yes.
Yeah.
My technical background comes from failing out of college as a computer science major. No, I'm a longtime gaming forever. I follow Google quite adamantly. There you go. I forgot what I was going to say. I had something and lost it. Anyways, just going to jump right into the actual news and cool stuff to talk about and stop talking about ourselves. I wanted to talk about here something that I thought might have been fairly important. It's called, as I've seen on the internet, the most important meeting you've never heard of. Did you get a chance to look at that article at all, Chris?
I just pulled it up, but why don't you give our listeners a little background on what it is?
Definitely. Now, what's going on to happen here is in December, which is like, what, 2 months away, roughly, I
Yeah,
think.
just about.
The nations of the world will be gathering in Dubai for the UN convened World Conference on International Telecommunications, pronounced WICIT, is what they're calling it, if anyone cared. The topic of the meeting is regulation of the internet once again under the whatever, some word I can't say right now because I'm tired, of the International Telecommunications Union. The governments are going to review the international treaty known as the International Telecommunications Regulations. The latest review was in 1988 when the internet was just being born, basically. The remarks and reshaped growth of the internet provide the excuse for the new review. What's really aloft, however, is efforts by some nations to rebalance the internet in their favor by reinstituting telecom regulations concepts from the last century. So, I don't know. Are we going to get another Sopa Pippa out of this, you think? Or
I think it's another group of people that are trying to regulate the internet that have no idea how any of this works, which kind of goes back to the whole SOPA PIPA thing, where you had a bunch of senators and congressmen and things in the states that were trying to make rules based on something they didn't understand, and they would even come out and say it in sessions of Congress, in sessions on the Hill. They'd be like, I don't really get this, but I'm told, and things like that. It's horse shit. These people don't know what they're doing. Hopefully, in this case, you at least get some smart people there, but I don't know. I don't believe that you have smart people that show up at these things. They'd rather just make rules because they think they're right, and that's what their not constituents, but that's what they're getting not paid for, but who are the people that go and influence on the Hill?
Lobbyist?
Lobbyists, that's it. Because the lobbyists are telling them this is what you need to back, and the big companies are paying said lobbyists. That's how you get stupid things like SOPA and PIPA that nobody really likes except for some of the big companies out there.
Very true.
On the most important meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, the most important meeting.
Uh,
Yeah, there's a lot going on with the internet right now, and this kind of ties into another topic right now that's going around, and this is being caused by cell phones as well. There are some companies that are talking about bandwidth caps as well to the internet, and overage charges and a lot of other stuff like that. I don't know if that could come from this or not. I don't really think the UN can set those laws in place, but it could start it from happening.
well, the only way the UN can get anything done is if Congress passes it. They can propose all the bills they want to do, but it's up to Congress to back it up or not. So
Actually, that's an interesting point you bring up. But are you guys familiar with ACTA?
A little bit,
yes.
I was listening to it. They've been talking about it on Twit a lot on Leo's network, and I guess basically from the way they described it to me is that since that is a treaty, that's how you can get around having to do congressional approval on things like that. So ACTA could theoretically become law as long as we sign said treaty saying we'll conform to that. So I don't know if this would be the same type of situation. So you can bypass the House and Senate completely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's always fun.
I mean, as of right now, even the president can authorize it, no matter what Congress or any of the houses decide. He can just sign an executive order to do it. So.
Right, and ACTA sucks enough on its own. I mean, I think the problem here is we don't know enough about this World Conference on International Telecommunications. Hopefully they start telling us more as things progress.
True. Luckily, on our end, we do have the EFF, and they are probing this quite a lot to try to find out more on it. And, of course, we all know how Reddit feels about these things and how they never stop.
And the entire world knows how Reddit feels, too.
So, definitely something worth keeping an eye on, and definitely something people need to keep an eye on and not just ignore. That's the biggest thing, is too many things get easily ignored because, well, it's sad when, Honey Boo Boo makes the news and this stuff doesn't.
Well, I mean, even with like SOPA, I mean, SOPA hasn't gotten not passed. I mean, it's still sitting on the docket. It's just gotten pushed back even further, so it can still come up eventually.
They're going to let it sit for a while until people start to forget about it, until they can try and sneak it in with something that does need to get passed, like tie it to one of the budget proposals and things like that.
Yeah, they'll just tie it into something else and add it down there at the end, so that way that gets passed. But the rest of it doesn't get passed.
Their big hope is all of the internet fanboys and folks like us who get really fired up about this because we love using the internet for what it's intended for.
Porn.
Will not pay attention. Yeah, well, exactly. We'll not pay attention. But the real hope is we're not paying attention when they come and put it back out there again, because while we might catch it, if it doesn't go mainstream again, it might be easier to get it through. Part of what helped SOPA and PIPA get shut down is it went mainstream, and they had the day where everybody shut down their websites and things like that. I did it. I shut down my website for the day as the blackout against SOPA and PIPA. I think Leo did the same thing. Hell, Wikipedia shut down for a day. That's ridiculous.
Oh, I remember that. Like, people I can't go on Wikipedia. How do I know anything?
How am I supposed to do my job?
Hell, even not shut down his website, and he's not even in the U.S., Yeah. I mean, it's just that much further to go.
It has far-reaching implications. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Very far-reaching implications. And I'm very afraid of what happens next time they try and push something through like that, because, like I was saying, people like us will catch it, but your normal citizen who just uses the internet for email and YouTube and maybe you occasionally rip off some music, because people still do that, might not catch it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm condoning music piracy.
But at least we have people on our side who are fighting it that also have lobbyists and a lot of money. It's one of the few good things that comes from Apple. They do fight this a lot because Google definitely. I know Google's really fighting over these internet caps, because basically it could put Google out of business, because if you have a bandwidth cap, no one's going to go to YouTube anymore. They can't afford it.
Yeah, and that being said, let me just throw something out there. I'm on Comcast, which means technically I get a 250 gigabyte cap a month. I have not broken that since I've had it. And I stream a lot of shit off of Netflix and Amazon and things like that. I've come close. I've hit the 200 level, but
What's also interesting though is the fact that you bring up the YouTube and Google shutting down. The fact that if that law went through where they put caps on stuff like that, they could actually then sue the internet service providers for that. What is the word?
Net neutrality stuff, or
No, for them not being able to produce their business because of the fact that they put these laws in there, to where now not as many people are going to it.
Antitrust?
No.
No, antitrust is a monopoly thing, so yeah, it doesn't fit. I'm unsure of the exact terminology, but
yeah, me too.
it's we just failed, man. Right there, failed.
I did.
We're
I
not experts. This is the layman's understanding.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's just, I don't know. It's gonna be weird. That's all I can say. It's gonna be weird, and we need to keep an eye on it. The internet must keep its eyes open. To move on to something less serious and more fun, maybe. Let's talk about Windows 8 possible failure and their poor pre-launch showings. Like, did you see these numbers?
Does it surprise anyone? Let's be honest.
Nope.
The Mac guy, nope.
I'm a Windows guy, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
look at Vista when they completely redid it.
Yeah, it's the cycle. There's a bad Windows and there's usually a good Windows. You know, we had Vista, then we had 7, we had like, was it 2000, then we had XP.
Me was in there somewhere too.
Me.
I think it was ME between 2000 and XP.
It was horrible too, though.
Oh, I know. I knew someone who was really happy about upgrading to that when I was in like middle school. We were talking about things. Oh, I got Windows ME. I was like, you poor bastard.
There was 95, which was horrible, and there was 98, which was acceptable. So,
and that's a general trend with Microsoft, is every time they try and do something new, look at like Windows 95 for 3.1 and things like that.
3.1.
It's not widely accepted. I mean, it was a big change between 3.1 and 95.
Oh, it was huge.
And all sorts of stuff. So maybe they're partly banking on the fact that this first version of Windows 8 won't be popular. But
yeah.
their real problem is...
Should we also bring up how the fact that Apple hasn't had a iOS, or should we keep going on about how bad Microsoft is?
Apple charges $30 for basically what's patch updates to their OS.
Hold on. How much is a Windows OS?
I can get it for $20 right now since it's be an upgrade when I just bought a new.
$20. I bought mine for $20 too.
I got my OS for free.
Hacker.
No, it's because I'm running Ubuntu right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to guess next. You must be running Linux of some kind.
I'm running Ubuntu.
Hey, I'm closer to Linux than you
are. Not me. I am Linux.
Yeah, if you are on Ubuntu, but you're not running Ubuntu.
On a side note here, it's on the options. It looks like here it's at the 6-month rate. Windows 7 had about a 0.5% adoption rate, whereas Windows 6 is setting under 0.2%. And at the 1 month out, Windows 7 had a 1.6% adoption rate, and Windows 8 is setting it like about a 0.3% adoption rate.
Well, 2 points on that though is I don't think they're banking on a lot of people upgrading to Windows 8. I think they're banking on being able to get the newcomers in. People are buying new computers. People are buying like Win 8 tablets and things like that, so they can have that unified experience. A lot of people are going to hold off on upgrading until they really have no choice.
I think another thing that's scaring people off, especially from my point of view as a PC gamer, is all the stuff that's been going around about how closed off the Windows platform is in Windows 8. And I mean, it's pretty bad when Gaben says, "I'm not going to make anything for Windows 8." He's like, "I'll go to Linux first."
I think the biggest misstep with Windows 8 is going to be is how many big businesses are going to pick this up. They make so much bank off of enterprise systems and things like that, because all these people have like these huge licenses of like WinXP for their companies, and eventually Windows 7 a lot of people are migrating to. But there's still tons of people that run WinXP, and they're not going to upgrade to Win 8. It's not designed for businesses.
It's really not, from what I've seen.
It's going to have to go back to the way it was before, where you had basically like WinNT for your businesses, and like Windows 98 and stuff like that for like home computing and things. We're going back to that model, I think.
Well,
I guess
to me, basically, what Windows 8 is encompassing is basically what Apple's trying to do. See, since the Mountain Lion update, Apple's trying to include more of their OS features into the or iOS features into the actual OS for Mac, and to me, that's exactly what Windows is trying to do, because of the fact that when the Windows Phone and Windows operating system came out, is exactly what this new OS for their computers is exactly looking like.
Yeah, they made no secret of that when they first announced Win 8 and the Windows Phone 7 and Phone 8, the interfaces, and even changing the Xbox interface. They wanted them all to look the same, so you could have the same experience across all of your Windows devices. And it's a smart move, it really is. It's just the fact people are so entrenched in the current version of Windows and how things work.
Yeah.
People will fight it kicking and screaming, but you see that with things like Facebook. Every time they roll out a new Facebook update, everyone's like, oh my god, it's the end of the world, this is terrible. Eventually, people get used to it, and I think it might take time, and if this pays off for Microsoft by making this unified platform across all their devices, it's going to be awesome for them. They've just got a lot of things they need to address, I think. Gaming is going to be a big, big thing.
Well, I know Windows has never been quiet on the fact that they're not really... they don't really care about Windows gaming because they don't make money off of it. And that's something that they're trying to fix with Windows 8. They want to be able to make money off Windows gaming. But from Microsoft's standpoint, they would rather you buy an Xbox than game on your PC.
They make a lot more money off of that
exactly
because they get money off of all the games that they license out and purchase from developers. And to be fair, their Xbox marketplace and everything they developed is really good, especially when you consider this is their second console that they've ever created.
Yeah.
Xbox is a wild success for them.
Yeah, I mean, but from a PC standpoint, do you think the we'll say the Microsoft marketplace for the Windows 8, I think that's what they're calling it or something like that, you think it will, from a gamer standpoint, do you think it will be as successful as the Xbox when it has to compete with Steam and to a lesser extent Origins?
Well, to me, the Microsoft marketplace or whatever then has to go and compete with things like the App Store for Apple's standpoint. I mean, look how none of the other markets for like Android, even Android can't even touch how much the iOS App Store brings in.
That's because there's a head start.
Yeah.
That and there's 30 billion freaking Android app stores.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
it makes it complicated for users.
And people develop for Apple first because that's the easiest way to get your app out there. They'll develop, and it's going to continue that way. And I don't think that Microsoft with their App Store is trying to beat like Steam and things like that. I think they're trying to compete with Google and Apple in their marketplace scenarios. And what is really cool with what they're doing is supposedly they're making it really easy that if you develop an app for like Windows 8, there's like an extra checkbox you can click when you compile to create a Windows Phone version of it and things like that. So they're supposedly trying to make it really easy to develop apps for all of their platforms.
Yeah.
I'm not huge on the development side of things. Most of what I know, and that's just what I've learned listening to some of the different Twit podcasts and things like that.
Yeah, I know. Like when you do like apps for iOS or OS X, is you use the same program. It's just in the fact of how you code it and different things like that. But it doesn't exactly have features where like you just click a box and it compiles it all for you and stuff like that. But,
right, that's what they were touting for the Windows side of things, is that it was basically supposed to have a lot of the same functions and things like that, so that you could create one app that would work across multiple platforms.
Yeah, and now we're also going to see how much Windows charges for producing their apps, because like I know Apple right now, if you're just a single person, they charge you $100 a year, and then 30% of your profits.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're a corporation, it's like $150 a year, and then 30% of your profits. So I mean, you're going to have to see how Windows tries to compete with that also on their pricing for it.
Yeah, and I haven't been watching, but I'm assuming they're going to be savvy enough to know they have to be competitive. And I would not be surprised to see them try and undercut Apple right off the bat, maybe try and change things a couple years from now. They have to do whatever it takes to make their marketplace take off. And the problem is they haven't even released the Windows Phone 8 SDK to developers right now. Windows Phone 8 is supposed to be coming out soon.
Yeah.
Are they going to be willing to take a bit of a hit to their wallet to compete originally? I mean, originally with the Android, Google took some hits to their wallet. They lost a few million the first year over that.
I would say yes, because they have to if they want to be competitive. They've basically bet the entire company on Windows 8 and this unified experience.
I mean, even look at companies like Sony. Sony takes hits every time they release a console. Every single time.
All
PS3.
consoles do,
Yeah.
really.
I mean,
Except maybe the Wii, when it was they probably made a little money off of each console. And I think they are with Wii U.
Yeah.
Well, the Wii made its money off peripherals, hands down.
Yeah.
That's true, too.
Yeah.
But I think the production cost of an actual Wii console at launch was actually a little less than what they sold it for. Not by much.
Yeah.
I think like maybe $5 or something like
I
that. But
definitely think they're making bank off the Wii U, but that's
Sony
neither
was
here nor
taking
there.
like a $150 hit per console at one point.
Yeah, because the
which is
Blu-ray
crazy.
technology was so expensive back
Yeah.
then.
Yep.
I mean, the fact you could buy a PS3 and it was like the cheapest Blu-ray player you could buy.
Yeah.
I got my PS3s because I wanted a Blu-ray player. And that's all I really use it for anymore, to be honest.
I just waited till Blu-ray players were like $60, and now I have like 5. Because people
Why
like,
do you need 5 Blu-ray players.
because I bought one, and then someone bought us one as a gift when we got married, and then someone else gave us one, and I got like a stack of Blu-ray players.
What are you going to do, build a fort out of Blu-ray players? If you do, I want to see a picture.
This is just big stack of Blu-ray players. Yes.
I would laugh a lot.
Oh my God, the internet! Don't worry, I'm from the internet.
I know exactly what's going on.
Oh my God, we got off topic there a little bit, but it's not too bad. So since we were talking about Windows 8, one of the first games, this is a kind of a double story, has been already confirmed to be Windows 8 compatible, and that is Angry Birds Star Wars, which has also just recently been announced. And I don't know if either of you play Angry Birds, but my wife got horribly addicted to that on the Chrome app. Like, she was playing it for days. Does
Really
Lucas
fun, casual game.
is Lucas making money off this in some way, shape, or form?
I'm sure if they're doing Star Wars inspired, there's some kind of licensing fee and things like that. George Lucas has always been very open to things like that, though.
It's true. He likes
mean-
any way he can make money.
I mean, hell, they've done Star Wars Robot Chicken and things like that. He's very open, and Lucasfilm in general is very open to allowing fans to do tie-ins and things like that. And I'm sure they saw the success that is Angry Birds, and one or the other, and Lucasfilm either went to them or they came to Lucasfilm, and they saw dollar signs. I mean, let's be honest. Star Wars Angry Birds is going to sell. It'll be
Oh my
bang.
God. Yeah, because I know you're probably buying it.
Yeah, I'm a casual Angry Birds fan. I have a couple of the free ones, and I bought the last one, the space one.
But
And
you
I
like
enjoyed
that,
the hell out of it.
Same thing. I have all 3 ones, and the only one I bought was this one.
It was awesome.
It was. It's amazing.
Plus, this it's also probably going to bring some new people into Angry Birds as well. Like the Star Wars fans are always so much into Star Wars that anything comes out with that name, they will play it.
That's
Oh, yeah.
true.
So there is also that. It looks like the official release date is November 8th. By the way. So
Yeah.
That'll be good. And I'm sure in typical version, Rovio, I think the company that does, they do all sorts of free add-ons to the game eventually, too.
yeah, and that
Angry Bird Base, I think, got 2 free add-ons.
that kid made bank.
Yeah. And that's how you keep your customers happy, though. You can charge upfront for an app like that, and then part of what encourages people to actually buy it and not play the free one is they keep getting more content based on what they've bought.
So, there's another company that was doing something like that with a lot of free content. And it's odd anymore to see any company pull out free content where everything's turned into paid DLC as well from a gaming standpoint. Everything.
Let's where I'll give credit. In this case, I have to give a little bit of credit to BioWare/EA because they gave out tons of free DLC for Mass Effect 3.
Well, they had a lot of making up to
A lot
do.
of the multiplayer ones, and then they had to do the extended cut for free because people would have bitched if they had to
Hold
pay.
on now. We are talking about EA. There's got to be a catch somewhere.
I know,
Has to
but
be.
I like to
They
think
don't
this-
give out free stuff.
Well, they gave out a bunch of free multiplayer map pack add-ons and things like that. So credit to them on that. I think they're charging for the next ones coming out. I'm not sure, but they gave away probably like 4 or 5 different add-ons for DLC in the multiplayer side.
Yeah.
That's not too bad at all, actually.
I like to think that was the last things that the doctors did on their way out the door since they're retired.
Oh yeah. I mean, really, can you blame them for retiring from from a place where their own creation is barely under their control?
I don't know. It depends on how you're looking at it. Because if you go and look at these guys' background, what they've done before, you can almost equate them to like modern day Renaissance men. Is they find some new art form they really like and they go on and do it. I mean, originally they were doctors and they got tired of that and want to do something new, so they completely changed fields and went into video games.
Yeah, that's where the name came from, if I remember correctly.
Exactly. And I think honestly part of what this might be is they might just be ready for the next challenge. I think a lot of people are trying to read into some kind of conspiracy theory that EA forced them out the door. Because to be fair, a lot of us look to the bad of EA all the time. And
well, they're EA.
Rightly so in some cases. But I hope in this case they just retired because they wanted to go on and do other things and they just didn't have the itch for video games anymore. Maybe I'm just being a little too nice though.
I find it hard to trust EA.
Well, I find it hard to trust either EA or Activision, either one. They're both
Or
a little
Apple.
sketchy.
I find it hard to
trust
most big companies.
The easiest one to trust is, in my opinion, is still one that you trust only because they seem to do so much right, but you still should never fully trust them. And that's Google in and of itself. But man, they take all your information. It's like we want everything to know everything about you all the time, and
you have to really hope that the company model of do no evil is something they really mean.
And hold on. Whoever watches my information, man, they must have a good time. All that porn is coming through there. Oh man. Whew.
I don't even think you're old enough to look at porn.
Do what?
I don't even think you're old enough to look at porn.
Exactly what you look at.
Oh.
Cognito mode my ass.
Oh my God. So, yeah, Google. And a lot of people out there don't even realize how much information they give Google either.
That's true. A lot of people don't realize in general how much information they give away on everything. Think of what everyone puts into their Facebook. And everything you like is targeted marketing then. It's got huge purposes. That's why you can like things and get the occasional free thing, because they can target demographics and tell who likes their product.
It's too bad you can't dislike things. I
very rarely like things on Facebook.
I would so pay for a dislike button.
With the Firefox extension at one point that was a dislike button. Everyone that had that extension could see dislikes, and it would all keep track on the dislike bars, servers, or whatever, and it would just add an extra component to Facebook that everyone see for how many dislikes a comment had.
Oh my God.
I think Facebook probably blocked the API access to it, but it was hilarious.
It would have been
MySpace.
Whatever happened to MySpace?
It turned into music.
It did. Supposedly, it's actually still pretty active for the music environment and the music world.
Yeah. Well, I know MySpace is supposed to get a complete and total relaunch here shortly.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake bought into it, and they were using his money to do the relaunch, I think.
Yeah,
I just looked right now. Dislike button. The first thing on there. Facebook has disabled dislike button because they dislike it.
Facebook can dislike things, but we can't.
Yeah, so it is at dislike.button.me, and they say you can try and push connect. If it works, it means we're back in business. But I would assume that Facebook still has the API access blocked, because everything they're showing that's disliked on here is from 12 months ago.
All right. Well, since we're talking a little bit about Google and Facebook, too bad Google Plus didn't take off better. But on a side note, Google or Apple Television? Have you guys actually been looking much into this? I know Google is offering television right now only in, of course, Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri, as a couple with their Google Fiber, which we all love, to be honest.
That's slightly different than the Google TV, though, isn't it?
Now, the Google TV, I don't know if you can get that outside of there, though, at the moment.
You could go and buy the Google TVs at, like, Best Buy and stuff. That was, like, the piece that set between your HD box and your TV. And
No, I think we're actually talking about, like, TV services. Not, like, an actual...
Google's actually... Google and Apple both, apparently, are looking into becoming cable TV providers.
Okay. I didn't just want to make sure that's what we were talking about versus the little top boxes that ran apps and stuff. I got you now.
I know, like, as a point of actual hardware side, I know Apple had been talking for a couple years now on actually producing a TV, like an actual full LED 50-inch TV that would have a computer inside of it and stuff. But
that was in the Steve Jobs biography when he told Walter
Yeah.
Isaac that he'd finally cracked it. They thought that was the Apple TV, but
Yeah.
it's been very hush-hush on what that is, whether it's coming or not. I mean,
Well,
and if
I mean,
it is they take an Apple TV box and integrate it into a TV, that's no big deal.
no, that's not gonna be anything. But yeah, I know they've been talking about it for a long time. So I mean, but I mean that's the way Apple is. They're just a hush hush company on most things. I mean, I was surprised to see how much information actually got leaked on the iPhone 5, because that's the most information I've ever seen.
They both leaked a lot, but the iPhone 5
Yeah.
we knew everything going in, which blew my mind.
yeah.
I think those
No
are
secret.
controlled
Yeah.
leaks in some spots. Really, it's
I
like
think some
oh,
of it is, but for everything to leak out like that, they couldn't have been happy. And
Yeah.
not this is gonna sound terrible to say, but Steve Jobs wouldn't have had that happen on his watch.
No, he wouldn't. No.
well, I'm sure
I mean,
someone probably got
obsessed.
fired.
He was obsessive about what people found out. When people did find out things
Yeah.
about the devices, heads rolled. The fact that guy
Yeah.
that lost his iPhone 4 didn't get fired blew my mind.
So
Because
Well,
they
I mean, even when you look at things like that, when he actually lost the iPhone 4, in the for some reason they always choose a bar to lose in, and I'm not quite sure why. But anyway, Apple has their own type of security crew that comes out, and they actually found the guy who took it, and they offered the guy money for it, and the guy said no.
Well, and they went after
mean-
Gizmodo once Gizmodo bought the
Yeah.
iPhone 4 prototype. And
Yeah.
like the government came and seized Gizmodo computers and things like that. It was I don't remember
Yep.
all the stories from back then, but it was a very big deal.
I don't remember hearing anything about this. Oh my god.
I mean,
Gizmodo iPhone 4 and there's a whole
Yeah.
bunch of stuff.
I mean, me personally, if Apple came to my door offering me money to have their product back, I mean, let's talk about a price first before I just say no. But
But there's a difference though. You and we're just regular consumers. Those
Yeah.
people, journalists.
they strive for the information and to release it first. So, but yeah, I mean, I remember when that came out and came to light. I mean, that was the huge deal. So, but yeah, as far as like TV services being produced, I think Google will be probably the first one to have it.
Well, they're already doing it in Kansas City. So.
Yeah. I
There
mean,
was a
but- yeah.
rumor that Apple was talking to Time Warner, I think it was, and that Time Warner
Yep.
was exploring the option of potentially running a Google OS on their DVR boxes and HD boxes and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
And if it looks like the current Apple TV interface, that's going to suck because I don't like
Yeah,
the current
well,
Apple TV interface.
yeah,
It was step back.
I hate the current Apple TV thing. To me, it's kind of a pointless thing that they sell. I mean, to me, I have the same standpoint in the iPad. I absolutely cannot stand the iPad. So,
It's the same
but-
interface as my phone, so I really don't have much issue
Yeah.
with that. But
I mean, the way I looked at it when the iPad came out, I would much rather have had the actual Mac OS rather than the iPhone OS.
it's a lot harder to do.
It is, but
oh, the dog's like, can I get closer? Closer? Closer?
It's a lot easier for him to do without the microphone on my head now.
and he's there.
He was sniffing the microphone earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like $70 a month is what they're saying, or 60 or 70. I don't remember. Dollars a month is what they're saying that it's going to run, and it's going to include DVR that can record up to 8 shows at a time. Blah blah blah.
Your question is, what channels does that include? Because they have to make deals with the cable companies, the channels themselves in some cases to
That's-
get the rights to them.
That's the big thing there too. Yeah, it has to include what people want, and I mean, if they're going to be successful, they need to be able to. Even if it's an added option, they need to have HBO. They need to have Showtime. They need to have Skinamax.
AMC and things like that even. Don't be like Dish Network who doesn't get AMC, so people can't watch Walking Dead now.
Oh, there's a lot of people like pissed off over that from what I
I
saw.
would be.
Sadly, I've never gotten into Walking Dead, so.
It's on Netflix. I would suggest checking it out. The first season is only like 6 episodes, but it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm taking us off target here, but
It's fine.
so what is it that Apple's looking at doing on this? Maybe I didn't read close enough. but
What I have here is it says, well, it was really a matter of time before Apple tried to disrupt the television market the way it revolutionized the music industry and refined the smartphone market. Before he died last year, Steve Jobs told his biographer that he had finally cracked the TV problem. Let's see. It says though Apple was reportedly running into resistance with cable networks. The same brick wall that Google had apparently ran into. However, sooner or later, logic and consumers' freedom of choice will prevail. Comcast and its peers will never be the same once this happens. That's really all we have on Apple.
I don't think any of the company. the cable companies need competition. That's one of my main things I've always thought, because it's ridiculous that there's only one cable company in Morgantown, and you either pay for it or you get satellite. In some people's case, they can't get satellite.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Google's trying to make with their Google Chrome or their Google Fiber is the fact that internet prices are atrociously high.
Especially for what you get.
Yeah, like I pay $70 a month for my internet. I have 30 down and like 5 up. That's a lot. I mean, when Google for $70 a month is offering you gig both ways, I'd be happy if I could get 10 up. Like, give me 30 down and 10 up, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
For at least something.
I think what a lot of people are trying to make a big deal about is how far behind our infrastructure is compared to other countries. But then you also got to look at the fact that, like, say Japan. Japan may have a gig going each way.
But they're
to
so
do that
small.
for the U.S., I mean, to do that for the U.S., there's such massive infrastructure that would have to be done in order to do that.
You know,
And that's
I
a lot
hate
of
to
we're
money.
be-
so big compared to everyone else. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I also hate to be the guy that says this because it's an asshole thing to say, but you know we paid for fiber in Iraq.
We paid for fiber here. It's just dark. How much of the fiber is lit in the United States right now?
It's like most of Iraq is fiber laid,
Yeah.
and we paid for that shit. I hate to be that guy, but I always feel that stupid. Like, we're gonna bomb the hell out of your country, then we're gonna repair it.
Yeah. What's the point of bombing it?
That's political though, so it's
Yep.
neither here nor there. Let's talk about Apple's self-driving cars. How about that?
You mean Google?
Yeah, I was making a joke about Apple's
Okay,
Maps.
I was like, wait, when did Apple make one? What are they gonna do?
It's
Crash
the
it?
Apple
You're driving the
suicide
wrong way?
machine. The Apple suicide machine, the self-driving car. It'll drive you off the top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah, and when you complain about it, the response will be, "You're driving it the wrong way." Oh, a callback to iPhone 4. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
But yeah, the self-driving car from Google is actually cool as fuck. I read like a few articles on it. To date, since they've started testing them, the self-driving car has been in one accident, and that was because the person who was driving it took manual control and ended up hitting something.
Yeah, and it was a fender bender.
It was a fender bender, yeah.
But
I was
they're
like,
legal to drive in California. I think they're the second state to do that. Make
first
it
or
legal?
second, one of the two. I just think it's cool as fuck, you know. It's like, I want a self-driving car. World's Fair, 1980s.
Logged more than 300,000 miles on highways and roads without a serious altercation. Other than that one we talked about.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't see anything on like the first state to adopt them, so.
I think it said second in
Yeah,
there.
California is the second state to it. It doesn't say what the first one was though. Meh.
But they bring up some really cool points, though, about some of the possibilities of self-driving cars at the end, where they're saying, trouble finding parking, your virtual chauffeur drops you off and then parks until you need it.
I know, right? It's bitching. I like the tired of taking your kids to the soccer game. The car can do it.
This one's interesting, which I think could be one of the big selling points for it. They say concerned about traffic accidents and the impact on car insurance. Data from the Census Bureau shows that 90% of traffic accidents are caused by, wait for it, human error.
Really?
Well, you know, the error is human.
And the answer to the first state is Nevada.
Okay.
Nevada. Okay.
Oh, and one other cool point they mentioned on there, which I kind of thought of before, didn't talk about. Traffic jams. You could network these cars so that they're passing along to the other ones where traffic's backed up or where there's car accidents so that you can avoid it automatically.
Well,
Yeah.
I also wouldn't have the 600-year-old grandmother sitting up there going, "Oh, look, a fender bender," driving 20 miles an hour in the interstate also. So.
And I mean, if anyone could handle that amount of networking and whatnot for the cars in the interstates, Google could do it. I mean, it's
And
their
infrastructure.
business.
Yeah, that's true.
Fiber
But
cables, infrastructure.
here's the problem with it. Let me play negative here. The first time this fails, it's not going to be a minor failure. It's going to be a massive failure.
Gridlock.
I used to live in Germany, and people have always talked about how the Autobahn at one point had no speed limits and things like that, and people handled it fine. There weren't a bunch of accidents. Yeah, but when there was an accident, there were like 80 car pileups. Things like that. Tons of people would die. So,
But it'd be fun as hell until you did.
Yeah, I think self-driving cars has great applications for like around town driving and things like that right now. But I would be wary of taking one out on the interstate at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you're going like 35 or 45, it's probably not as freaky because if you have to take over manually, you've got the reaction time to probably do so.
Speaking of that, I get to have some fun. The wife's looking at buying a smart car to replace her Crossfire.
You know you can pick those up and move them, right?
I know, right?
Well,
But
I made the suggestion that it's like a soccer ball and all the airbags go off.
When I lived overseas, we literally did that as one of our senior pranks. We picked up one of the smart cars in the parking lot and moved it. I said, where'd the car go? And
we used to do that to a friend who drove a Ford Fiesta. We picked up his car and put it in the trunk of the truck bed of another truck.
Smart cars are all right, I guess, but
I just want to see how fast I can get the damn thing to go on the interstate.
Yeah.
I have a motor. Come on.
It's like a 3-cylinder motor, man. You gotta go fast.
The better question is how well does it drive when you've got like 2 or 3 people in it? With one person, it's probably all
They
right.
only
but-
fit 2 people.
Yeah.
It's a 2-seater.
Okay, I didn't know if it has small bench
The
seat. In the...
person could go on the roof.
Oh, she's getting the convertible one.
Where she is.
How's that going to do in the snow?
From what I've seen, they're actually not too bad. I mean, it's a car, so if there's 2 feet of snow, of course it's not going to move. Most
true.
cars won't move in 2 feet of snow.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, look how tall it is. I mean, it's probably only like 2.5 feet tall. So.
But a lot of people give shit to the smart car, but they're actually a lot stronger than people give them credit for. There have been some testings on the frames and whatnot, and it takes less pressure to crush the frame of your standard mid-size coupe than a smart car. The frame is actually
It's a lot
sturdier.
more packed and dense. It's a lot harder to break something that's that small.
Yes, the frame is really sturdy, so that does add a degree of
Yeah, but so's a
safety.
Volvo frame.
Yeah.
But one last story on that. When we lived over in Belgium, my dad was telling me a story. He was taking the Belgian version of the interstate. They call the ring roads. It was a real windy day, and he watched a smart car come around a corner. A gust of wind caught it and flipped it on its side. The guys crawled out the top door and the sunroof. They picked it up, set it back down on it the right way it was supposed to go, and drove off. Granted, the whole right side of the car was smashed and scratched up, but I think it was a gust of wind, and I went, holy shit. But I'm a big dude. I would never try to get in a smart car, I'll be honest. I'd be folded up with my knees and my chin.
Yeah. The wife likes little tiny cars, so it's her car, so whatever.
I could have made a joke right there, but I just like credit for not doing it.
Okay.
What other little tiny things does she like, Adahay? Sorry.
I thought you said you weren't going to do it.
I couldn't help myself.
So I saw I don't know anything about this one, so Chris, you're going to have to lead this one, but Cliffy B leaving Epic Games?
Yeah, Cliff Bleszinski, I think is how you say the name. He'd been there for like 20 years. He was the mind behind like Gears of War series and things like that. He was always the one who was out promoting it. He did a lot of the work on the Unreal Engine that they used for that. He's basically retiring to go and do other things. Nobody's really said what, but it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Maybe he's retiring to go work with the BioWare guys.
You know, that'd be awesome.
It's like, oh my god, do that.
He had, I think, supposedly a lot of the Gears of War world was his brainchild, and that's a very fun series of games. And when it first came out, it was very much revolutionary compared to the other shooters you had out there. The third-person view, cover combat, things like that. And you've seen a lot of things adopt that, like Mass Effect 2 and 3 pretty much adopted the Gears format. Plus, he made a gun with a fucking chainsaw on it.
You mean like that? Never mind.
Well, he put it in the game. There's probably other examples of it.
It's like, I'm pretty sure Warhammer's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got it from Warhammer, but you got to admit, if you're Gears of War, it's really fun to chainsaw the hell out of someone and have the blood splash up on screen. You're like, oh my god, this is awesome! Chainsaws
Nerds.
never forget.
And then Australia bans it. Too violent.
Did they? I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
Australia bans every game.
Yeah, it's very hard to get some games in Australia.
So they've never played God of War?
I think they had to make a cleaner version of God of War with less blood, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
The fuck? How's it God of War with less blood?
They've got ridiculous review board standards.
Did they do
for
add
getting
ponies?
clear.
Jesus. When you hit someone with your blade, a pony pops out and runs across the screen. Oh, rainbows!
sparkles. This
Oh,
chainsaw shoots sparkles.
oh my God. I forget what were we talking about?
Epic Games, excuse me, and Cliffy B having left.
No, do you think his leaving will have any major effect on the company?
It's hard to say. I mean, he's been there 20 years. So God knows what other things he was involved with. I mean, I'm sure he's left his footprint, his fingerprints on things where he's helped shape some things that are coming out. I think the real thing that'll tell you is games that come out about 3 to 4 years from now, what he's not been involved in. You'll see whether it makes a difference with him having left the company.
Yeah,
Like you theorized, though, if he goes to work with the BioWare guys, that'd be awesome. But I'm very curious to see what he does next. Is what I'm getting at.
yeah, like, I mean, because I'm not as familiar with Epic Games, so but from what you said, like it'd be like if Chris Metzen left Blizzard. You know, he's the guy. It's everything in Blizzard is Chris Metzen's world,
I
basically.
feel bad for him.
I feel bad for him. I don't know. He's made millions.
Yeah, he's made bank.
And to his credit, he's actually a really good story writer. I read a few of his books, and he writes amazing stories. I just think his putting his stories to games is starting to go awry a little bit. But I don't think that's so much his fault as everyone else's fault.
Those guys that come up with the game stories are really brilliant. Like Drew Capsation, I think is how you say it, did it all for BioWare for a long time, and now he's left to go and just do books. He even wrote some like the book tie-ins. Like there was one he wrote that was a tie-in between the Knights of the Old Republic books up to the Old Republic MMO that came out.
Oh, that's pretty bitchin'.
I heard it wasn't very good though. I haven't read it myself.
I heard it wasn't very good.
But he was one of the main minds behind the Mass Effect series, and I've admitted many a times that I love the Mass Effect series. So, go team. Go Mass Effect. And go
Mass Effect. I've never played it.
You should. They're doing doing a bundle of all 3 games coming out.
I have so much to play right now, though.
The story's fantastic. I'll stop touting Mass Effect, though. I do that way too often.
I technically need to go pick up Dishonored tonight, but I think I'm just going to wait. Plus, I have War Z coming out. That's going to be fun as hell. And a few other games I'm looking at playing. Smash Muck! It's so goofy and so much fun. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Oh, well, we actually got through most of this. I think we can wrap it out if we hit a few of these quickly. Facebooking can land Filipinos in jail. I don't know if any of you checked that out or not.
I did not. Some background here, my friend.
This is a Philippine population with 25 million Filipinos on Facebook and closer to 10 million on Twitter. The top 10 users on both sites. If you're one of those who seldom think twice about liking a friend's post on Facebook or retweeting something else on Twitter, think again. Doing so in Philippines can land you in jail. On September 12th, President something I can't pronounce signed into law that Cybercrime Prevention Act, which defines several new acts of crime committed online, including, among others, cybersex, identity theft, hacking, spamming, and pornography.
What? Oh, I can't go to the Philippines.
But while all that's good, certain provisions of the law have millions of Filipinos up in arms, foremost of which is an online libel. It says, if you click like, you can be sued. And if you share, you can also be sued, said Senator something else I can't pronounce, one of the lawmakers who voted against the passage of the law. Even Mark Zuckerberg can be charged if he ever comes to the country.
That's problematic, though, because don't they use some of their ads to say your friend is like this and just put a picture there, whether it's actually your friend or not, for some things?
I don't know. I really don't.
I thought they were doing that, but I'm not 100% sure. Because I know when you upload pictures up there, they gain rights to them, so they can use them in advertisements and stuff, unless you uncheck a privacy setting somewhere. But
I really don't know. Like, I've read over this article like 5 or 6 times, and I'm still trying to figure out what exactly in the law is making it illegal. But it's something to do with libelous, I'm probably mispronouncing that word, libelous speech online or offline, which, as you know, generally should be handled as a private civil matter, not a crime, is what people are saying. But yeah, it's Facebook's serious business in the Philippines now. Don't be doing something stupid and get sued.
I can sort of see what they're getting at. They're trying to keep all sorts of slander from taking place via Facebook and things like that because it's become a very powerful tool for marketing and things like that.
It really is.
Let's say someone made a Facebook page, Adahay is full of shit, I hate him, or something like that, and was getting people to like it. They're slandering
kind
you
of
by saying
am.
certain things. Oh, I know, but trust me, I've known you for a long time. But there's a very similar story coming out of Iran, actually, where I can't remember all the basics of it, but I think there was a kid who was going to school in either the UK or here who liked a Muslim group on there, something about true meaning of Islam, something like that, that was different from what Iran like. He created the Facebook page, I'm sorry, and his father got arrested for it and thrown in jail, and he was told, shut this down or we'll keep your father.
Oh, badass.
I don't remember all the story. I'm paraphrasing a good deal. But it was something very similar to those lines. He created a Facebook page about like the true meaning of Islam that was slightly different than what they espouse in Iran. And his father was thrown in jail, and I think he's still in jail last I looked. There were lots, like the Red Cross and other organizations were trying to get him out.
I'm actually surprised that the U.S. hasn't, or if they haven't already intervened, because that comes apart to where the U.S. military needs to take some type of action on that to protect our rights on that one.
But it's not an American involved.
So the dad isn't a U.S. citizen?
The dad isn't a U.S. citizen.
Oh,
the dad's an Iranian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Handle it yourself,
if he was a U.S.
then.
citizen, it'd be a different story.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the brave new frontier of the internet, so you gotta be careful with what you do.
I mean, we've seen what a powerful tool it is. I mean, they started talking about all the Egyptian riots and things like that on there, and that's how news got out, is people went on Facebook and Twitter about it.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Occupy Wall Street stuff, Facebook and Twitter became an enormous tool for that, whether like it or not. I mean, I'm just saying they used it a lot and it was powerful.
And I mean, even the Chinese government's having more and more problems censoring the internet because of, well, Facebook and Twitter. Although I think they did just censor a lot of, like 90% of Facebook or something like that. If you can even access Facebook in China.
I don't think it's been blocked, but there's a bunch of stuff they do block. I know that.
Yeah.
But if you know how to set up a proxy, you're around it. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. So, all right, next topic.
Samsung versus Apple's iPhone 5. Samsung adds Apple iPhone 5 to its lawsuit against Apple. I don't.
LTE.
I quit paying any attention to
software patents and hardware patents like that is just ridiculous. The whole system.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I think right now the reason Samsung added the iPhone 5 to the lawsuit is because of the LTE technology. So, to me, I just find it stupid, but lawyers will be lawyers.
They're also trying to claim similarity or something. It keeps the lawyers in business, whether it's legit.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. But
this does is stifle innovation.
It really does. In the long run, it's all Apple's fault.
Well,
they started the suits, so it's their fault.
And to be fair, though, Samsung kind of did rip them off on the original iPhone design. If you go and look at the original Galaxy S and the iPhone.
When you actually look at the internals of the iPhone and then you look at the internals of the Samsung, they're like almost identical in how they're laid out.
Well, I mean, you look at the phone design. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I'm critical of Apple, just like you are in a lot of things, Adahay, but...
Well, it's like if I look at my HP monitor and I look at my Acer monitor, they're basically the same damn thing.
Right. They don't go and purposely design the case to look similar and copy a lot of the design features. Now, when you start talking the OS side of things, I don't think there was an issue there, but the design of the original Samsung Android phones was very similar to the iPhones of that time. Yeah. When you start talking now, Samsung has evolved and makes their own completely different stuff, and I honestly think they're the best Android handset maker out there.
The thing that I find the funniest about all of it is the iPhone 5 was actually somewhat assembled by Samsung themselves.
Well, they've done a lot of the displays for a lot of the iPhones, but the
Yeah.
current thing I've heard is they're now getting displays from Sharp mostly instead of Samsung.
Yeah.
But that was hilarious. They were selling their own. They were suing their own supply chain at one point.
Yeah.
And it'll never end. They'll keep appealing it forever. So it's going to be probably
Yeah.
another 5 years before the current Samsung case that was just decided on actually causes a
Yeah,
payout.
as far as I know, the appeal for the Samsung one that was just agreed upon was not. It wasn't going to be heard again until I think 2014.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Plus, there's all the cases they have internationally too.
Yeah.
It's never going to end, and
Yeah.
there needs to be some kind of reform to software patent law because really, what Apple's trying to do is they're trying to get an Android too.
Yeah, well, I mean, patent laws are so out of date. Like,
Oh, they're so far behind to what technology is that they don't even acquire to what we have these days.
The nice thing for Android, though, is they've said that the current version of Android 4.1, or is it 4.2, Jelly Bean, whatever it is, the version number, supposedly are clear of any patent issues with Apple right now.
that's at least a good
Is
thing.
what they've been saying in public.
I'm sure they'll find a reason to sue them.
Oh, I'm sure they will. But I like the competition between Apple and Android, though.
Oh yeah.
It's
incredible.
great for consumers once you get away from
Oh.
lawsuits and things.
I already
Yeah.
figured it out. They can sue them over the name. As you see, Jelly Bean has 3 syllables. Mountain Lion has 3 syllables. So they stole the idea of a 3-syllable OS name from Apple. So Apple's going to sue them.
Well, I mean, even between like iOS and Android, I love Android. I love iOS. I love them both. But as far as the actual phones themselves, I don't like the Android phones. So, I mean, personally, the software Android is just amazing.
Yeah.
Does so much better. Does so much better things than what iOS can do. So.
Yeah.
I currently have an iPhone, but I'm not opposed to switching to Android whenever I do my next upgrade. So it's really whatever the best phone is at that time. And the Galaxy S3 is awesome right now.
Yeah, I
And
think
I
the
can't
big
wait
thing
to
that
see what they
stops
do
people
for
from
Galaxy S4.
switching back and forth is they get so invested in one or the other. It's like, oh, I have all these apps on my Android.
And that's a very good point. And the fact I own an iPad also means if I leave my iPhone behind, at least I can still use all my apps on my tablet.
Yeah.
Because I don't like Android tablets. I've played with them. I actually owned one for about a week before I said, oh, this is a piece of shit. And granted, the one I bought wasn't that great. Once
Yeah.
I
I
later
still haven't gotten a
realized
chance to get a hold of a Nexus, but
I want to get a hands-on with a Nexus 7.
hopefully I can get one before I come up your way. But yeah, and then at least you can play around with one.
Then you can start reading digital comics like me.
God. Anyways, we got like 2 minutes left in the show. We're doing pretty good, actually. Anyone want to talk about the Sprint LTE fail? I don't even know what that's about.
Oh, I will. Yeah,
Cue us off with that.
the Sprint LTE fail was the fact that they did a study on how well Sprint's I guess network is around all the major cities and how well LTE they have in those cities, and about 75 to 95% of those cities that they advertised that had great LTE technology in was false. That was advertised by Sprint.
Was this with their WiMAX LTE or the new one they were looking at?
Actually don't know.
I'm
think
just looking to
it's
see if I
just
see
over-
WiMAX in there anywhere.
So it was found lacking in 4 cities.
Yeah, it doesn't say,
Yeah.
because I know they bought into WiMAX and they were backing off that and looking at some other 4G solution. And if this is the WiMAX one, it's pretty much a non-story because they're phasing everything off of that soon to their new 4G method they're looking at.
As far as I know, it would probably be the new one, but
Okay. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a reason why Sprint's behind and everything. They're playing catch-up on a
Yeah.
lot of
No,
network
right here it says Sprint's touching almost every single cell site in our existing 3G network and swapping out older equipment for new 4G LTE equipment. So it could be that it's just the the little bit of latency in the upgrade hasn't caught up yet.
It's very similar to what like AT&T was doing by swapping out equipment on towers because they either own or they lease towers from people. I mean, it's not unheard of that AT&T and Verizon equipment on the same tower,
oh yeah.
for instance.
So
Yeah, that sucks if you're a Sprint user, but at the same time, Sprint's the only place you can get unlimited data still.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people go to Sprint right now, is they get the flat fee, unlimited everything for what, $100 a month?
yeah, that's actually where, cause our cell phone plan's up, and that's where we're looking at going.
Yeah, the only reason I'm still on AT&T is I'm grandfathered into my unlimited data still.
Yeah.
Yep.
I abuse that sometimes. I stream a lot of music off of like my Amazon player or like TuneIn Radio apps.
People
and
get all
things like
jealous of you because you're like, yeah, I got unlimited data. No.
that. Well, it's very rare I even go over the 2 gigabytes a month that I'd be paying for if I had regular, but I like having the ability to do so if I needed to.
Now,
Yeah.
being that you're an internet radio streamer, are you familiar with the Fairness in Internet Radio Act that's going through Congress right now?
I've heard it mentioned. I think you mentioned it to me. I don't know much about it.
I mentioned a bit on Twitter, and I've actually been emailing back and forth with Shelley Moore Capito. I don't know why
That's
she
what I
responded to me.
I saw you send tweets about it.
Yeah, I sent tweets, and then I sent her some emails, and she actually responded to me. Or, well,
awesome.
one of her aides probably responded to me.
Yeah.
Which was really cool, and I've been talking to them back and forth about it. And it's, but basically what's going on is, for like Pandora to run, it costs them 4 times as much in royalty fees as it does a normal radio station.
It's true.
And that's just, why should it cost them more? They have the same overhead, if not more overhead, than a normal radio station, because they still have a physical location. Plus, they have servers to run. They have bandwidth to pay for, and on top of all that, they have to pay 4 times as much in royalty fees. How is that fair in any way, shape, or form?
I haven't done any researching, but what was the reasoning behind the difference in royalty fees? Do you know?
That's what I'm looking for. And originally, I think it was just because they were originally afraid of internet radio. And I think radio stations are still afraid of internet radio. But, I mean, let's be honest here. Most radio stations are on XM anyways. And
a lot of them are embracing it now because, like, if you have iHeartRadio, you can get all the Clear Channel radio stations. There's another app called TuneIn Radio. You can get a ton of them. And you can actually, like, do, like, a buffer up to, like, 90 minutes on TuneIn Radio, I think, which is pretty sweet. But I think the thing that they're scared of is the fact that stations like Pandora and things like that don't have to do commercials.
Yeah, if you buy the subscription.
Mm-hmm. You listen to one of those streaming sites for a radio station, you still get the commercials and all of that.
Yeah.
So there's still a reach on that. This potentially kills off the commercial side of things, I think, is what the fear is.
It probably comes back and falls upon some kind of lobbying going on behind the
More than likely.
behind the radio station and the
even with the advertising point of view, there's a radio station here in Charleston. They play horrible music. That's neither here nor there. They play like banjo music and stuff like that. But they have no commercials. They run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Music, no commercials. They have an announcer that comes on every once in a while and says like the time of day and gives a little bit of news, and they're completely ran off donations.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that exists in the real world radio too. So it's the same basis, except I guess it's just easier to get this without commercials because of Pandora One, and I don't know. Does iHeartRadio have a subscription service? I don't know.
There's a pro version of it, I think, but I don't.
Yeah.
But I think you'd still get the ads because you're listening to a lot of radio stations through some of it too.
Yeah, it gives you pop-up ads on it, but I think if you pay for the pro version, you don't get the pop-up ads.
Yeah.
But if you just lock your screen and you're listening, I don't think you notice the ads ever.
Yeah.
But if anyone who's watching the show now or listening later knows why there's such a licensing fee difference, leave a comment or hit one of us up on Twitter or something.
Definitely.
Or point us in the right direction.
So on that though, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Since you mentioned our Twitter, you can get a hold of us multiple ways. I need to get you access to the Bytes Podcast, Chris.
Okay.
You're not getting it, Paint, because you're a ginger, and I don't trust you.
Thank God.
But you can hit us
Just
up.
I need another Twitter account.
I know, right? Because I'm starting to get the same way. I'm like, holy crap! I got like 6. You know.
Yeah, I got 4 right now, 5.
You can hit us up at the Bytes Podcast. That's BYTES, like a computer byte, basically. To get a hold of me or anyone else on the show, you can also hit me at the Adahay. Chris, I believe, is at Roundtable Nerds.
That's correct.
And I don't know Paint's. I don't even know if he has one.
What, for Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paintballs.
Paintball lols.
Yep.
He plays with balls. I don't know.
Oh, I do. I paint my balls
Giggity?
all the time.
But
Neon paint all over that shit.
Sounds dirty.
hopefully sooner or later we
should
get
be.
the website up for the Bytes as well. I'm working on that. You can also catch myself and Chris every Sunday live with the ATGN podcast.
All things good and nerdy.
Anything you want to add before we go out there, Chris?
Hey, had a lot of fun doing a first episode. Looking forward to doing more in the future. And like Adhay said, if you like listening to us rant on this one, come listen to us talk about nerdy things and all things good and nerdy too.
ATGN's a lot more vulgar.
Yes, we're much more profane on there. And we got girls that come on there too for some of you folks that might like that.
Oh, God, oh, man. We have women. Come watch us.
Selling point for some people. You have no idea how much it surprised some people
Sign
at
me
the con
up.
I was at this weekend.
Where-
They're like,
where's
oh,
the
you do a
subscription
podcast?
fee?
I'm
Where
like,
can I
yeah,
subscribe?
We have,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
as I was looking at it, our most popular episodes have been with Trin and with Carly Spade.
Yeah.
It's like, we need more women guest hosts.
Although the interview I did for the Pop Culture Con got a lot
Oh,
of hits
yeah,
in
that
the
one
week,
did too. Yeah. But, okay, that's neither here nor there.
That's
Paint,
neither here. Yeah, exactly.
do you have anything you want to go out on? Do you want to try to be someone important?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I am important. I'm a Mac user.
Oh, God.
You're superior.
Oh, it's
But,
like having a
You know, I had fun doing the first episode, even though I had to leave for a little bit. But yeah, definitely look forward to the next one.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching live. If you do watch us live, you can. And for the people listening, you can catch us live Monday evening at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/theadheygaming. Thanks for listening and have a wonderful night.
Night, folks.